All right, everybody, welcome back to Jayfabe Wrestling. This time we're rebooking Survivor Series 2003. Yeah, once again, I know I rebooked it last time, but I kind of kept it similar to kind of what the storyline was going. Some of you all wanted, to do a SmackDown versus Raw 2003 edition. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. But just overall, looking at the card, I think it was a really good card. Team Angle versus Team Lesnar, that was a cool match. John Cena's breakout. And then we also had Team Bischoff versus Team Austin, probably the best Survivor Series tag match. I'm not too sure if anything has beaten it since, but yeah, just a great storytelling of Shawn Michaels coming back down 3-on-1, trying to save Steve Austin's job and coming up short. And then, of course, you have some iconic matches, the McMahons against the Brothers of Destruction. Basically, you got Shane McMahon fighting Kane in the ambulance match, and then Undertaker versus Vince, where he gets buried alive. And then there was a title match as well, Goldberg versus Triple H. It was okay. But yeah, solid card, but again, I think the Raw versus SmackDown concept would have been cool here, especially just because the brands have kind of been locked in for a year. 2002 was kind of fresh, and then 2004 there was a draft, but this year was actually where like the roster's been locked in. So I think this would have been a great time to do Raw versus SmackDown. So yeah, let's get into my card right now. All right, first match I got Rey Mysterio representing SmackDown in the Cruiserweight division versus Christian. Yeah, Christian, I believe he could have been a cruiserweight as well. And I would actually have Ray, say he's happy to be on SmackDown representing the cruiserweights. And then Christian can ask Eric Bischoff for a match for the IC Championship because he wants to be in the champion versus champion IC title match. And he loses and he's pissed. And Bischoff says, you know what? I have an idea. How much do you weigh? And Christian's like, what are you talking about? And then he says weight, and Bischoff's like, all right, we need you to lose at least 2-3 pounds so you could be eligible to fight Rey Mysterio in a Cruiserweight Championship match. So Christian does some funny vignettes where he's working out and he wants to eat, but he can't. And he finally makes the weight. And yeah, I think these guys would have a great match. The promos Christian will have saying how he's going to show Rey Mysterio who the real luchador is, who's the real greatest cruiserweight. And he's going to show Rey Mysterio that, he's too small and he doesn't have the charisma like Captain Charisma. And then Rey Mysterio can cut promo back saying, Christian, he's a wannabe cruiserweight. I'm a true cruiserweight. I'm a true luchador, and I'm going to prove it at Survivor Series. So, yeah, I think this would be a great match, fun match. This is a match I believe we never really got on pay-per-view as well. And obviously, the Rock roster is pretty stacked, so I think it was a great way to also get Christian on the card, and Rey Mysterio would retain clean, hit the 619, 1, 2, 3. But yeah, great match for sure. All right, the next match, we got Trish Stratus defending her women's championship against Sable. So yeah, Vince and Sable, they're kind of a thing here. So Vince says, you know what, I have an idea. How about you challenge Trish Stratus at Survivor Series so you represent SmackDown and bring that title back? And Sable could be like, you know what, I don't know, Vince. And Vince can kind of get mad remembering that Trish humiliated him, at WrestleMania 17. And Sable's like, you know what, Vince? I'm going to get my revenge for you at Survivor Series. So yeah, and then they can have some great promos where Sable is saying, before there was Trish Stratus, there was me, Sable, carrying the women's division, carrying the Attitude Era, but she's sick and tired of everyone speaks of the Attitude Era. They talk about Lita, they talk about Trish, but they don't talk about me, Sable. And Trish can say, yeah, she respects Sable, but she's done way more than Sable, and that, she didn't leave the company. She didn't think she was a bigger star. She worked hard, and now she is the biggest women's star. So yeah, these girls can have a great promo, and it's kind of like a dream match as well. Obviously when Trish came into the WWF, Sable is already gone. But yeah, these are two of the most over women, so it'll be a nice dream match here, and I think it'll be a solid match. And I'd have Trish get the clean win after the Stratus faction. All right, the third match, we got Battle of the Mid-Card Champions. We got Rob Van Dam representing Raw, and representing SmackDown, I would actually have Matt Hardy version 1 win the US Championship here. So, yeah, I think this would be a really good match here. Matt Hardy can talk about how last year he lost to Jeff Hardy, so he wants to, make it up to SmackDown. And RVD, saying, he respects Matt Hardy, but, he ain't even as good as Jeff Hardy, so he can throw shots at him. And Matt Hardy says he needs the change of attitude, and RVD is like, I don't need no change of attitude. I'm just a chill guy, and I'm just Rob Van Dam. So yeah, Matt Hardy can talk about how, his lifestyle of, living matitude, doing everything his way is better than RVD's way of, being a chill guy, zen guy, someone who doesn't worry or care, but he's gonna make him care after he beats him at Survivor Series. So yeah, they can have some good back and forth here. Matt Hardy could have some fun Matt facts that are dissing Rob Van Dam. And yeah, RVD can even mock Matt Hardy as well, with some promos, dressing up as Matt Hardy V1. And you can even have, Shannon Moore for one night only come on Raw, and RVD can defeat him. So, and then even on SmackDown, we can actually have maybe Tommy Dreamer come because he's friends with RVD. He can fight Matt Hardy, and Matt Hardy could beat him. So, yeah, just some fun ways to build the match here. And I would actually give the win to RVD. He could win clean. Shannon Moore can try to interfere. RVD can fight him off and hit Matt Hardy with the 5-star frog splash. 1, 2, 3, and RVD gets the win. All right, next match, we got the battle of the tag team champions. We have from Raw, the Dudley Boyz, versus from SmackDown, the world's greatest tag team. So yeah, I think the build here would be very easy. You can have the world's greatest tag team, again, claiming they are the greatest tag team and that, no one can defeat them. And the Dudley Boyz can say, really, you guys are the greatest tag team. Last time I checked, we got the most tag team championships. We won in ECW, WWF, WWE, and hell, even WCW. We won the WCW tag team championships because they did win during the invasion. So yeah, and the world's greatest tag team would say how, our style of a wrestling is much better. We're not no ECW stars. We don't need no tables to prove that we're the best tag team. We just use our technique. We just use our skill. We just use our athleticism. And the Dudleys could say, you know what, at Survivor Series, we don't need no tables to defeat you. We're still gonna beat you. Doesn't matter how you want it. Can be Extreme Rules. Can be a typical wrestling match. We're gonna show that the Dudley Boyz are the greatest tag team, and that the world's greatest tag team needs to change their name. So yeah, some good back and forth promos, and I think it'll be a really good match. There's also kind of a cool dream match we never really got to see, as they were both on different brands, and then when the Dudley Boyz came to SmackDown, the World's Greatest Tag Team split up, and then when they reformed, the Dudley Boyz were not in the WWF anymore. So yeah, I think this would be a really fun tag team match here, and you can have the World's Greatest Tag Team be the one to actually use like a foreign weapon, maybe like a chair, which is ironic because they said they're the better tag team, but with their skill and athleticism, but they have to use a chair to cheat to win. And after the match, we could have the Dudley Boyz put them through a table just to get their heat back. All right, the next match we got the Undertaker representing SmackDown versus Kane representing Raw, brother versus brother. And I would actually have Kane cost the Undertaker the WWE Championship in the biker chain match instead of Vince McMahon. So that kind of builds the feud already. And yeah, Kane can talk about how, again, similar that the Undertaker became human. He became, like one of you guys, just a typical biker, and he wants to bring the monster, the evil, back into Big Evil. And, he said ever since he's unmasked, he's felt like he's been more of a monster than the Undertaker, and that the Undertaker's been hiding him from the world by keeping him in this mask and not telling him about the fire, that the burns weren't real. So yeah, you can definitely play off that, and the Undertaker can talk about how, this thing with Kane will never end, and that he needs to put him in the dirt, and he challenged him to a buried alive match. Kane is kind of skeptical, but then you can have Eric Bischoff say Kane, I thought you were a monster. Why are you scared of being buried alive? And then Kane accepts, chokeslams Eric Bischoff. And yeah, um, obviously they had a similar match, but it was Vince McMahon and Kane helped The Undertaker lose the match to Vince. But here you could just have Kane straight up win. I'm thinking how I would have it. Um, I'm not sure if Kane should just win clean, but maybe Kane can just win clean because he unmasked and he's just totally a different human being, and it makes sense to kind of get his wins back. He's lost to Undertaker many times, so Kane can choke slam the Undertaker into the grave, bury him alive, and obviously this will help the Undertaker switch from the American Badass back to the Dead Man. All right, the next match we got Team Raw versus Team SmackDown, the main event elimination Survivor Series tag team match here. So representing Raw, we got Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Booker T, Chris Jericho, and Randy Orton. And representing SmackDown, we got Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, Big Show, John Cena, and Eddie Guerrero. So yeah, both teams obviously have, some unique elements here. Of course, Shawn Michaels, his feud with Triple H, his feud with Chris Jericho, his feud with Randy Orton. Of course, Booker T and Triple H, they don't have good history as well. And even Jericho and Triple H from the previous years. So yeah, there's a lot of, inner fighting here. And the same with the SmackDown side. Kurt Angle and Benoit, they respect each other, but they both want to prove that they're better than each other. Of course, John Cena, he just recently turned face. So, he's also people are still skeptical about him. Obviously, him and Kurt had a feud. Him and Benoit, even him and Eddie had a feud. Big Show as well. Him and Kurt, they have history. Big Show and Eddie as well for the U.S. Championship. They got history. So yeah, a lot of these teams got inner fighting here. But yeah, I think it'll be a great match. Just look at the workers. I mean, Shawn Michaels, again, he can hook it up with Kurt Angle, Benoit, Eddie Guerrero, even a young John Cena. He gets to hook it up with Triple H, Randy Orton as well, young Randy as well. So that's the cool thing about this match. We got some young talent here. And I would actually have Team SmackDown get the win just to, because the score is actually 3-2, so SmackDown would need to get the win here. And I would actually have the finals be the last two on Raw would be Shawn and Triple H, and the last two on SmackDown would be John Cena and Chris Benoit. And you can actually have Shawn accidentally switching music Triple H, and he gets FU'd 1, 2, 3. Cena pins John Cena, so that's a big rub there. And then Benoit can submit Shawn Michaels in the crossface, and that's a big win here. So this does a few things. Obviously, it gives Chris Benoit momentum going into WrestleMania 20 because he had big plans, and also gives John Cena a nice momentum also going into WrestleMania, and also can continue to build the Hunter and Shawn Michaels feud that also happened in 2004. So yeah, I think this would be a great match again. Of course, look at all the talent here. And yeah, SmackDown gets the win. They tie it up 3-3 going into the main event. All right, the main event, Battle of the World Champions, Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg. And yeah, this match pretty much sells itself. Two of the most dominant world champions. Obviously, on this show is where they had the interview where Goldberg and Brock, they kind of went face to face. So you can probably have that at SummerSlam just to build up, this match here. At the time, Goldberg wasn't even world champion, so Brock can be like, "Where's your belt? I only fight people worthy of me." So that can kind of build up the match here. And we can even have Paul Heyman come to Raw, talk trash about Goldberg and saying he's nothing compared to Brock Lesnar, and Goldberg can spear him, hit him with the jackhammer. And yeah, you can have Brock invade Raw as well the next week, hit Goldberg with the F5, and then Goldberg could come back and spear Brock Lesnar on SmackDown. So yeah, just a lot of invading here, trying to prove who's a dominant champion. And yeah, I think this would be a really good match. Obviously, they had the match at WrestleMania 20, but the problem was that both of them were leaving. So I feel like having this match a little earlier, we would definitely have a great match. They had a really good match actually at WrestleMania 33. So I assume it would be like that, but maybe a little longer. You can even make it no holds barred if you want, so they can use weapons and they can go a little longer. But yeah, I would actually have Goldberg just get the clean win here. I think it makes sense just for Brock Lesnar, his paranoia. He turned heel and like everything is going against him. So I think that makes sense, and also leaves the fans going home happy with Goldberg getting the win. I mean, I was thinking of Brock getting the win, but I just don't know how. Like, would he cheat? Like, would someone interfere? So yeah, I think just Goldberg getting the win here, and yeah, Raw would actually win again, 4-3. So yeah, guys, let me know what you guys think of my card. Just running through it, I think this is a great card. Of course, we get Goldberg and Brock, earlier when the stars aligned. We get again all the talent in the main event Survivor Series tag match, and even the undercard matches. We got some really cool dream matches: World's Greatest Tag Team against the Dudley Boyz, Trish versus Sable, Ray versus Christian, even RVD versus Matt Hardy. That's a nice undercard match as well. So, and Undertaker versus Kane as well. This match we didn't get in a while, and for it to be buried alive, it does a lot of things. It gives Kane, his momentum, and obviously it helps transform the Undertaker back into the dead man. The only thing here is if you do Raw versus SmackDown, you do lose the Austin versus Bischoff, so that's a tough thing, and obviously that's a big storyline as well. So that's the only downfall, but I still think we do establish a lot of things here. Undertaker can, go away for a while. Um, Brock and Goldberg, they can still have their feud as well. And yeah, Shawn and Triple H kind of builds that up, and even, giving momentum to Cena and Benoit as well. All right, guys, let me run down the card for you guys right now. So, the first match for the Cruiserweight Championship representing SmackDown, Rey Mysterio versus Christian representing Raw. Second match for the Women's Championship representing Raw, Trish Stratus versus Sable representing SmackDown. Third match, we have Battle of the Mid Card Champions, the Intercontinental Champion from Raw, Rob Van Dam, versus the United States Champion from SmackDown, Matt Hardy version 1. Next match, we got Battle of the Tag Team Champions. We got the Dudley Boys, Bubba and Devon, representing Raw, and the World's Greatest Tag Team, the WWE Tag Team Champions, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas, representing SmackDown. And then we have Brother versus Brother, Buried Alive match, Kane representing Raw versus The Undertaker representing SmackDown. And then we got the main event Survivor Series tag team match representing Raw. We have The Game, Triple H, The Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Y2J, Chris Jericho, the five-time WCW champion Booker T, and the Legend Killer Randy Orton versus Team SmackDown, the Olympic gold medalist Kurt Angle, the Rabid Wolverine Chris Benoit, the Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena, Latino Heat Eddie Guerrero, and the 500-pound giant, the Big Show. And in the main event, Battle of the World Champions, representing Raw, the World Heavyweight Champion Bill Goldberg versus the WWE Champion representing SmackDown, Brock Lesnar. So yeah, guys, that is my card. Once again, let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the support. Catch you on the next one. Peace.